Hello, everybody. Let's just see if somebody is there. Yes, there are some people. This is brilliant. Hello, a very, very good evening. I think I now know why we don't have a proper topic today, because normally the videos with proper topics are more popular. And I look terrible tonight because the camera doesn't work. I have no idea why. So for the last 10 minutes or so, I tried to fiddle with my iPhone camera to connect it somehow to the computer, which did work um, so far this year, but today it doesn't. So anyway, you are there and I'm here and we will work around that. But it's very interesting. I wish I knew how to deal with all this technical stuff. But anyway, it's wonderful to have you here. A very, very good afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Should you be from California, where I can see that some of you are from, please let me tell you that I am terribly jealous. In London, it's just ridiculous, the weather at the moment. It stopped the constant rain, but now it's just constantly gray. For the whole day today, it was gray. Anyway, we find the light within and we'll work a little bit with the light within. But it's just so wonderful to see so many people from various places in the UK, from various places in America. A very warm welcome to the new members. So for those who do not know, you can become a member of the YouTube channel, which means that you support the channel. And this is just a very, very lovely gesture. So thank you, Heike, for being a new member. That just kind of was flagged to me. And there are quite a few members here. So this is just fabulous. And well, oh, Sweden, Scotland. Brilliant. This is just so exciting. We are all over the world and we have something that connects us. Not just our interest, not just feeling the connection between us, but connects us to higher levels in the universe. And this is just, I mean, what else can you possibly have in common? This is just absolutely fantastic. So today is basically a question and answer show. But in order to do that, we need questions. So if you don't come up with a question, I am sure I will come up with questions that are regularly asked. Let me just do a little bit of small talk. It's just so nice to be on here again. And I really feel that this international connection that we have is just so important. I will be in 2 months, I'll be back in California for a while, and I hope I'll see quite a few people there. It's fabulous to see people in London when I'm there, and I'm running a Reiki science course at the end of April here, which I'm really looking forward to because it's just amazing. It's kind of a new development. And in fact, there have been a lot of developments recently. A lot of channelings, a lot of really interesting ideas and information that I feel can develop Reiki further, not replace it, not change it, but give us more tools and a deeper insight into what Reiki really is. And I look forward to sharing that. So at the moment, I'm in the last stages of a new online course, which will be ready early April. And it's just incredible. I just can't believe I'm doing these long meditations every day, and what's coming there is just unbelievably deep, unexpected, a whole kind of new range of tools. And when all this is ready, I will share it straight away. So let's just see what is happening there. Can Reiki positively affect a replacement joint in the ankle that has come out of alignment? Well, this is embarrassing. Not the question is embarrassing, because it reminds me that I'm pretty certain I had an email asking this question a few weeks ago and I didn't manage to answer it. I've just been staying in one place for a week, in another place for a week, and there's so much going on. So my apologies, but thank you for mentioning that and posting this again. It's a difficult question. So I generally, well, my experience is that Reiki helps a lot with various things. And it improves it accelerates and it often kickstarts the body's self-healing abilities. Let me actually just put this question in there. Can Reiki positively affect a replacement joint in the ankle that has come out of alignment? So I'm absolutely certain my experience is that Reiki can help the self-healing abilities in the body. And that means it kind of stimulates what the body can do itself, and the body can do an awful lot. Whether something that is actually changed in position can be changed by the body itself, that is a big question. And quite frankly, I feel that Reiki would help if this would be operated on again. But whether it can really change something within, change the actual physical position, I am not sure. I'm also saying that because I know somebody in New York City who I had dinner with last year, and he has a hip replacement, and that isn't properly aligned. There's just something, it's very difficult to pinpoint why this is the case, but apparently he has got pain all the time. So what I did was, over dinner, I sent him Reiki. So while we were eating, I just set the intention to send Reiki. And sometimes when I was primarily eating with my right hand and with my left, I was sending Reiki. And after dinner, I asked him how he felt after about maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes. And he moved and said, well, actually, at the moment, I can't feel pain at all. And he said that was the first time he was pain-free in years. So I don't know whether this has come back afterwards, whether this was something to deal just with this moment, in this moment, and it would need more treatments. So, but it really confirmed that Reiki can very certainly help with the pain. So I think if we look at these in kind of on different levels, physically, there is the saying, which is what I learned in my first Reiki course, when there is a broken bone and it kind of sticks out at a funny angle, you can give it Reiki and it will release, will help with the pain, but it will still need to be aligned by a physician to get back in place. And I feel this is something that may need to happen there. So I hope that makes some sense. But let me just thank you so much for posting this question. And again, my apologies for not being able to answer this directly as yet. Can I give Reiki to my son who has schizophrenia? Well, first of all, yes, you can. Especially as a mother. And I'm saying that with a very clear reason for that. If we give Reiki to somebody with very severe schizophrenic psychological issues, sometimes we may be unprepared how we can deal with whatever is happening there. I would normally expect that we would, that first of all, Reiki will help us to deal with any unforeseen reaction. And secondly, and this is my deep and wonderful experience over 15 years using Reiki, that Reiki works for the highest and greatest good, and it does what is good and what is positive. So I would assume that there will be a very positive effect, and that your son will feel calmer and more peaceful. But sometimes it is good that a person who actually knows about the condition and knows how to deal with that, if they are present, then I feel it is just this little bit more reassuring. So given that you, of course, will know, well, will know your son, will probably know how to react in situations when he kind of acts differently from how he normally would, then I would think that you are actually best placed to give Reiki. And just be very, very gentle. So I would always, when we are in a family situation, recommend that when we give a treatment, we behave like a proper professional practitioner. So not too casual. I would say, well, this is a Reiki treatment and I can do that hands on, or I can keep my hands slightly away. Tell me what you prefer. I can even do that from a wider distance. If you feel it's too strong, or you feel uncomfortable, or you want me to move my hands, then please just let me know. And even though it is in a family setting, it is a confidential treatment. I'm not sharing anything that's happening with anything that may come up during this treatment, so you can just really relax. So I would make sure that there is this professional element involved in that as well. And I'm absolutely certain, was it Dubravka, that you are really best placed to give a treatment, as long as your son is happy to receive one. This is something that sometimes is very difficult to accept as a family member, that we give Reiki treatments to anybody and everybody, but in the family, there may be someone or even several people who don't want a treatment. There isn't much we can do. We have to respect this element of free will. But yes, if your son is happy to have a Reiki treatment, definitely you can give it to him. Let's see what else is there. Right, that's a very interesting question. Thank you so much. This is great. This is a real conversation, and it's just so important to have this opportunity to ask questions. So I don't know how to pronounce your name, Aurora. Thank you so much for posting this question. I read somewhere that if you are sick while giving Reiki, the person you are giving Reiki to will probably not feel anything, because the Reiki will be busy healing you. And you say that you have long-term condition. Well, my experience is, to be honest, the opposite. When I have a cold and don't feel very well and give somebody a Reiki treatment, well, I would normally give them a distant treatment, because I don't want to sit right next to them and sneeze my germs all over them. But if I have that, or if I have headaches, or even if I have got back pain, or something is out of alignment, or I often have a knee problem because I have a torn ligament there. So sometimes that kind of plays up a little bit. So if I don't feel very well and give a Reiki treatment, I tend to find that afterwards, not just the person receiving the treatment, but I feel better as well. But it's absolutely not the case that, one, we kind of pass anything on from us, or two, that because Reiki works on us, it cannot work on the other person. Reiki is just so amazing. Reiki is so powerful. Reiki is everywhere. We say, well, we connect to the very source. In fact, this new course I'm working on is very much about our connection to the source and how we can really bring this down and feel the connection and how powerful it really is what we are doing. So when we realize that, and when we realize that there are maybe, I don't know, 10 million, 50 million Reiki practitioners all over the world, just imagine how many people will be using Reiki at the very same time. Reiki is everywhere. Reiki is inexhaustible. Do we really think that when Reiki is channeled through us, Reiki will get stuck with us and not flow through us? I am absolutely certain that you will be able to give the most amazing healing to somebody else, even if you have a chronic physical condition and need healing yourself. Because what you are actually doing, and this is something enormously beautiful and powerful, you are going beyond the ego. You are, even though you have a problem, care for the other person and want to share Reiki with them. And this already is such a beautiful and powerful intention. I'm very, very certain that you will get the most incredible feedback. In fact, I would really like to encourage you to do this, to try that out and get the feedback so that you know it is working and you can give Reiki happily to somebody else. I actually know quite a few people with chronic conditions who are Reiki practitioners and have the most wonderful feedback and results. So I know from my own experience and from other people who I know and who I have trained that it's not in the way you can give Reiki. And I'm very, very certain that you will feel and find that it will help you to deal more with your condition as well. Let me just have a look. That's just wonderful. Thank you so much. That's an interesting question. Is there any research about the effect of Reiki on stem cells? Let's just talk about a very general problem here, and that is high quality laboratory research, including Reiki. Laboratory research tends to be expensive and it tends to be financed by, well, to 90% or so, the pharmaceutical industry. And the pharmaceutical industry, quite simply, is not interested in finding out how Reiki works, because you cannot put Reiki into a pill and package it properly and sell it. So that is a problem. I know that some people are working on similar ideas in laboratories at the moment. So I hope that there will be some more information at some stage. But really, if anybody listening has got any contact with a laboratory working with cells, working with bacteria, working with stem cells, working with well, something that can be shown under a microscope, it would be fascinating to have the access to that. I personally don't think it needs to be very expensive. You basically need a few hours in a laboratory. You need a culture of cells that can be used, and you need a practitioner sitting there and giving Reiki to the stem, so to the cell culture. But it's, to my knowledge, not at least been shared in peer-reviewed papers. My personal experience with stem cells is that when I gave a few years ago Reiki to a friend who had what did he have? Um, what, what is that? Some kind of cancer, and he almost died. And I gave him Reiki. I sent Reiki for 2 months. I sent Reiki every single day, and I had this intuitive idea that no stem cell transplant would be needed. And that was really interesting. And he did heal. He did heal remarkably fast in the end. And then a few months later, his wife told me that he finally had a stem cell transplant. And I thought, how odd. Why did I get this intuition that he wouldn't need leukemia? Sorry, it was completely blank. Leukemia he had, acute leukemia. Blood cancer. I was wondering why I had this idea, this intuition, which was very clear that you wouldn't need a stem cell transplant. And then when I saw them a few months later, I heard that the doctors had detected a genetic disorder somewhere in the blood. And if that would ever turn cancerous, they wouldn't know how to cure it. And therefore, as a way, basically just to preempt this problem, they did the stem cell transplant, but not in order to deal with the leukemia, because that was gone already. So that's really just an anecdote, not really related, but the stem cell. So one could argue maybe it did have an effect on stem cells, because the stem cell transplant was not needed. So that is kind of my personal connection with stem cells and Reiki. Let's just see what else is there. Reiki help with sciatica? Yes, absolutely. There's a question. I've noticed recently that people I've given Reiki to have had visions of things that have been happening in my personal life. Am I passing something to them? That's interesting. How can I remedy this? Well, I've given treatments, and somebody, and the person I gave Reiki to afterwards said, "Well, I've got the feeling there was somehow more for you than for me." And I found that quite embarrassing, but it would happen twice or three times or so. But they said, "Well, I actually feel there's something there's something going on in your life and you need some help with that." So they had some idea. We are really opening up in this space, in this field of Reiki. And I tend to find that we as Reiki practitioners get more and more intuitive. But if you have a very intuitive client, maybe a client who also works in this field of Reiki, and you stop treatments or something like that, it may well be that they see or sense something. You do not pass it on. It is simply that they sense there is something going on. And that doesn't mean that they don't get Reiki during this treatment. It just means that they, for some odd, actually quite amazing reason, they sense something about you. So maybe that is also meant to be part of your healing curve, your healing journey, that you realize, oh, that's actually true. And this seems what Reiki was working on during that treatment. A treatment always goes in both directions. Often in the holistic or alternative field, people say all healing ultimately is self-healing. So we always also work on ourselves, and we receive Reiki at the same time. And maybe it was this kind of field that was building up there in which this kind of came up. So I wouldn't really feel you need to remedy that. What you can do is maybe before you give the treatment, connect to Reiki and just visualize some kind of protective bubble around you, and set your intention that this may shield you from kind of passing personal information on to the client. So you can set your intention, but I really feel it's not necessary. This is actually really fascinating. I'm enjoying that. This is amazing, all these questions. Let's just see. There, Deborah is commenting that it would be really beneficial to do self-Reiki before working with other people. So this is a great thing. Of course, we channel it, but if we give ourselves some Reiki before, just place your hands on your heart chakra or so, and for maybe 5-10 minutes before you start giving treatments, you give Reiki to yourself. That's a wonderful thing. So maybe Reiki doesn't need to work as much on you then when you do this. And as a question, is self-healing every day enough to continue with the Reiki practice? Well, for me, self-healing, giving Reiki to myself every single day is basically the center of my Reiki practice. So I think it's extremely important. And if this is the way you want to use Reiki, that is your way of bringing Reiki into your life, then that is absolutely fine. I still feel it's very reassuring to also give Reiki, not necessarily on a professional basis, but here and there to people who around you have some problems, have some issues, so that you can get the feedback as well. But it is not necessary. Just by giving Reiki to yourself, you are raising your vibrations, and you will bring this positive energy automatically also into the world. I'm absolutely certain about that. Let's just go a little bit further. And there's a question: in your January 31-day challenge, we did a past life regression. The one I had was vivid and fascinating. I'd like to return to it to learn more about that life. Can I return? So past life regression, as some of you know, I've also trained in past life regression with Brian Weiss, which was actually 12 years ago, so quite some time ago. And I have done primarily group regressions, but also from time to time personal regressions. I find it just fascinating that we can learn something from the past, but also the whole concept and idea of the past. What I tend to find is that if we set the intention in a regression to go back to the life we have been regressed to before, it tends to work. If it is important, if it's helpful, or we go to another lifetime that shares another aspect or sheds more light on the aspect that we were dealing in this lifetime with already. And so we may have dealt with that. I wouldn't be surprised at all with the same issue or a similar issue in another lifetime. So it gives a bigger picture. So you can set the intention, but that's basically all there is. As the facilitator, as the regression therapist, you can't really say we're going into that life. You can only say if it's right for you, then you may in your subconscious enter this life again. So if you, and it's still online, so if you go back to it's actually interesting. Yes, I left it online. So you can go back to this episode, which is recorded. So you can still use the same link for it. And you can do this regression again. When I set the intention to go back into a past life that has a bearing on your current incarnation, then you can just set your intention to go back into this lifetime and explore it further and see how it works. And please let me know if it works, because that will be a very interesting experience for me as well. So we are kind of reaching the end of the time at the moment. So let me just see. One more question. Can negative entities block the flow of Reiki from the healer to the patient? Um, I am in a long process at the moment, uh, trying to understand what we mean when we talk about negative entities, negativity, blockages. And there are so many views on that, so many ways to describe that, that I cannot say I've come to an ultimate conclusion. I was actually it was interesting. I was actually just in a deep meditation told that this would be part of not my next, but the following book. So it's still a little bit ahead. But my honest experience is that when we understand Reiki as light and as coming from the highest source in the universe, we may feel negativity. We may feel something unpleasant, whether we call it a presence, a blockage, or something like that, but it doesn't hinder the flow of Reiki. We can actually ask Reiki to help clear this and to go where it is needed. And even though I may sometimes become aware that there's something strange, odd, negative, sad going on, I still feel that Reiki helps with the situation. So I wouldn't think that it actually can be blocked. But yes, we sometimes see these things and sense things, and that's very disconcerting. But Reiki, in my experience, and this is how I see it and how I use it, is more powerful. And then one last question is from Mike with often uncontrollable epilepsy of his wife. And when she's unconscious, he can give it to her and it helps to bring her around much faster. But whether it is possible to stop this completely. I know you've been working with Reiki for a while. Um, I honestly do not know, but let me, because I know your personal situation also a little bit, let me just kind of think about that a little bit, whether we can go deeper and whether I come intuitively up with maybe something that can be done or can be added at some stage. And we can see if that makes a difference. So there's nothing I can promise, but I'm working on some new techniques at the moment. And before I share and before I teach them, I need some more experience. So I'll be in touch, and then we can sort out and see how how that works and whether this would make any difference. What I'm kind of say experimenting with at present. So, yes, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so very much. Let's spend a few more minutes just sharing Reiki, giving Reiki to each other, working on our healing journey, being supported by others in this beautiful circle. And let's just, really connect and bring in everybody who is present now and who will be watching the YouTube show on a replay. So when you are ready, just take a moment to connect to Reiki or reconnect to Reiki. And when you feel the connection, set your intention to connect with everybody on this Reiki share who is present now and who will be taking part in a replay later on. If you've learned the connection symbol, just take a moment to draw this to deepen the connection with everybody. And then just let Reiki flow. Just Just relax, close your eyes, feel the connection with everybody, feel how you are facilitating healing for so many people at the same time, whilst you are also receiving Reiki at the same time. Just sense what's going on. You may actually feel movement, energy going around, creating a whole field of healing immersion. And then you can bring your hands together for a moment and thank Reiki and come back into the here and now. I don't know why, but I felt this was particularly powerful today. So I'm so happy that we had this wonderful conversation. And it was really interesting. Over the last few days, my guides gave me so many topics for YouTube shows for the next several weeks, but they repeated every single time this week is just question and answers. Well, now I know why. That was really deep, and I thank you so much for engaging, participating. And I can just see a message from Joelle. So yes, absolutely, I'll be very happy to um, see what we can do. If you can send me an email, either to Torsten at thereikirevolution.com, or if you received an alert email, a newsletter, so just reply to that newsletter so that I have your address, and then I will be in touch. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. And well, have a wonderful day until then. And if there are any questions in between that you feel I could address on the YouTube show, then please do send me an email in between. We'll have another question and answer in for 6 weeks' time. But until then, there'll be plenty of shows, plenty of connection, and really exciting developments that I will be able to share after Easter. So it's going. Everything is going in an amazing direction. We are going to make the world a better place together. Well, we are already, but we are intensifying that. So have a fabulous rest of the day, rest of the evening, and let me just find the button to press to conclude this day. Bye bye.